All right, guys, so why do you gotta be jacked? Well, again, the title might have been a little bit on the clickbait side. But anyways, when men speak to me about leveling up, I like to look at it sort of as three pillars that men have to focus on. And the first pillar would be finances, anything to do with sort of money and your bank account, I suppose. The second thing would be fitness. And then number three is another word that starts with F, and I can't say it this early in the video, but let's just call it relationships, guys. And whether that be with the fair sex, same sex, no judgment here, or just people as a whole, sort of your social life. Let's call it that. But anyways, in this video, guys, I am going to tackle fitness and why I think it is one of the most important, but it is the absolute first pillar you must have as a man. All right, so let me, start over again a little bit. When a guy's come to me, and a lot of younger guys I've spoken with and I've met with at different sort of places, they say, "Hey, man, I want to level up. What should I focus on first? Should I focus on making money? Should I focus on meeting girls? Sort of mindset? Where do I focus?" Well, I always say, and this is unequivocally, take one look at them, and I tell them fitness. And when you look at a man, one of the first things you are going to notice, or anybody for that matter, is their body. Let's get this out of the way early, guys. First impressions matter, and they matter massively. So I look at the guy and check, what's his presence? How does he take care of his body? Is he overweight? Is he underweight? What does he look like? Are his shoulders hunched? Does he have, sort of a meek or weak presence to him? Sort of size the guy up. And I think we all do this. We see guys at the gym. We see the guys out in the club, out in the street, wherever it is. As men, we sort of size each other up. One of the old jokes is every time when guys encounter each other is they think, could I fight this guy? And if I did, would I win? There probably is some truth to that. It's probably sort of a biological sort of pre-inclination. But whatever. When we see another person, especially another man, we sort of size them up. Guys, when I say you need to get in shape, this isn't about vanity or ego. All right? But one of the reasons is because the body never lies. You can fake a lot of things in this life, and sure as the sun rises, people do. You can rent Lambos, you can rent the yachts, hell, you can even rent the girls. The one thing you can't rent is the body. Your body's going to sort of be a scorecard. It's going to tell me a lot about your discipline, how you handle stress, what stresses you let in, your habits, whether it be sleep, and your self-respect. I'm not saying, guys, that, you can't have a level of self-respect, if your body's not perfect. But the fact of the matter is, guys, if you don't take care of your body, it says a lot about the rest of your life. And that's one of the reasons why I think that needs to be your first and primary focus. And again, you can't fake it. There is no faking it. You go to the gym, you go to the beach, you go wherever, you see a guy that is fit. And I'm not saying jacked. I know that was in the title. But you see a guy that's fit. There's only one way he got there. And that's through discipline and hard work. Yes, there are some supplements and some gear that you can take to, sort of expedite that process. But I think you know what I'm meaning. Even if you use those things, you still got to put the work in, guys. And this is why it has to be your first step. Be clear, guys. Getting fit isn't the goal. It's sort of proof of concept in that the work is being done. All right, so I broke this down into 5 reasons why you absolutely must focus on fitness first. All right, starting with rule number 1 here, reason number 1. Fitness forces your reality. You can lie to yourself about a lot of things, a lot. But when you wake up in the morning, and whether you get in the shower or whatever, you got your underpants on, and you look in that mirror, it doesn't lie. It tells you a truth that you might not want to see and hear. And that truth is, do I take pride in myself? Do I care about how I look and feel, guys? And that's just not feel physically, that's it mentally as well. Again, you can lie about a lot of things. But when you start, focusing on fitnesses, the weights don't lie. One of the things I like to say is, and I put it in my book here, is the weights are there no matter what. They're cold, they're lifeless, they're dead. They don't care if you pick them up or not. You have to get in there and sort of make it happen, guys. And whether you're fatigued or whatever it is, the weights don't care. The gym doesn't care. Those miles outside that you need to run, they don't care. You have to put in the work. And then the gym gives sort of that immediate feedback. Again, guys, if you hadn't been in there in a while, and you start pushing those weights around, it's going to tell you where you are, where you stand. Same thing when you go outside and run. It's going to give you feedback of where you are. And then it stops the excuses, guys. You can talk the big game. You can talk the BS. But once you get under that bar, grab those dumbbells, get on that treadmill, the excuses stop. It is going to expose the BS. That's why fitness forces reality. Guys, a lot of dudes live in sort of these abstract states. I'm this sort of, poet guy, or I'm this or this. Fitness brings us sort of back to reality. Again, you can either lift the weight or you can't. You are either fit or you are not. It's a reality check, guys. This is not subjective. This is an objective truth. All right, guys, on to number 2. And this is important, guys. Fitness restores self-trust. So you can do all the affirmations you want. You can meditate if you want. And those things aren't bad. Don't get me wrong. But confidence, true confidence, doesn't come from those things. Confidence comes from competence. And I'm going to say that one more time so you are clear. Confidence comes from confidence. Competence. Don't reverse those. When you learn to be competent at things, you become adept and you know how to do these with proficiency. True confidence comes from that. And the more skills and more things you're able to do, the more confidence you will have. And when you are confident in your body, it just, it begets other things. It just pushes down the road. When you do hard things repeatedly, when you are sore, when you are tired, when you don't feel like getting out of bed, when it's cold outside, and you just don't feel like doing it, but you do that enough times, and I promise your confidence will grow. Again, it's not an ego thing, guys. Just as I talked about, doing it consistently, making this sort of fitness, I'll call it, is part of your life. This isn't something you start in January and quit here. What are we here? Yeah, the first week of February. Most resolutions are over by now. That's a fact. But not you. You keep doing this. A lot of folks, especially if you're in the northern United States, a large portion of my audience, and that's where I grew up, getting out of bed at 5:30 in the morning when it's 0 foot of snow outside, go to the gym, go run, do whatever. It's not fun. Those are the days that matter. When you show up when it's inconvenient and it's hard, it's miserable, when it sucks, those are the days that matter, guys. And it's keeping promises when no one's watching. And who are you keeping those promises to? Not those people. You're keeping them to yourself. And that's the most important. Because, guys, you can lie to a lot of other people. And not saying you should do that, but when you lie to yourself, it trains your brain to not trust you. You don't need to do this, as I said in the beginning, for applause or validation. If you are doing it for that, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And trust me, guys, do it long enough, you're probably going to get some validation, sort of a byproduct from having that sort of jacked and fit body. But it's not why we're doing this. Before you can ever believe in yourself, guys, you have to prove it to yourself. Again, you can tell your brain that you're confident. You can tell your brain that you're the man. But you have to prove it to yourself. When you look in that mirror, when you feel good about yourself and you're proud of the effort you put into yourself, even if it's not sort of perfection, guys, you know you're doing the work. All right, guys, on to reason number 3. So you physically change. Your nervous system changes. Your body changes. So one of the things is when you train is how your body adapts to stress. And this could be, again, lifting the weights, running, sort of HIIT, if you want to do CrossFit, if that's your thing, whatever type of training. When you're under, just use 225. I know that's a common number for guys for bench. When you're under that bar and you're feeling it, you're saying, can I do this? Your body has to adapt. How is that stress going to feed you? Are you going to give in and quit, drop the bar back on the rack, or are you going to lift that weight and not let it win? Guys, it's a big thing. The same thing on your breathing. When you go out, when you're on the treadmill, you're running, and, when you feel like stopping, your lungs are burning. Your legs are killing you. Are you going to quit? Or are you going to tell yourself, all right, one more step, one more stride, one more rep? You're going to be, those are the things that sort of separate, the average from those who, sort of get a little bit above that, level up. The people are willing to do the hard shit repeatedly. And you sort of stand differently. Guys, when you are proud of your body, not only is your muscular structure going to change, your back's stronger, your shoulders are back, but you will have a more confident air to you. You're not sort of, sleeking into the corner, shrinking yourself. I'm not saying you have to puff out like some, jackass, but you just carry yourself more. You walk, chin up, head held high. You're proud of the work you put in. Again, it's not for others' validation. You're just proud of yourself. And then you sort of ideally react sort of less emotionally. You feel your body physically changes. You have different levels of testosterone and different types of things when you lift consistently. It's different for everybody. Don't get me wrong, guys. I won't get too much. But your focus is steely focused. Going to the gym should be an unemotional thing, or even working out. It should just be part of who you are. It's not emotional. You wake up sad, you wake up depressed, you go to the gym. You wake up happy, you wake up excited, you go to the gym. It is a non-negotiable, guys. And that's when you start to sort of think and your system starts to react differently. Again, fitness doesn't change how it looks. It shows how you carry yourself as a man, your presence. All right, guys, rule number 4. It raises your standards without saying a word. Guys, in previous videos, I've talked about this and how you have to have standards. This applies the same with your body. It is no different. It can be their standards with relationships, how you let people show you respect. The same goes with your body. And when when your body begins to change, your tolerance for the junk and the bullshit and the excuses fades away. Maybe you had it before, but no longer. You value your sleep and rest, as you should. Talked about how sleep helps repair your testosterone, just gets you in a better overall state. You value that. Because you have to train and you have to take care of your body. So those 8 hours, and whatever the number is, guys, 7, 8, 9, that is more valuable than staying up and watching another episode of Netflix, Pornhub, or whatever the hell it is. Food. The fuel you put in your body, you begin to look at that differently. Now, I'm not saying you have to eat chicken and broccoli every single meal and you have to meal prep, but you look at food differently. If you're looking at yourself as a high-performance sports car, pick whatever you want, Ferrari, Porsche, you have to put better fuel in those cars for them to run efficiently. The same is with your body. It's no different. You have to get your adequate amount of protein, ideally about 1 gram per pound of body weight. Vegetables, fruits, you want to ideally sort of cut back on your sugars and carbs a bit. Again, don't cut out the carbs altogether, guys. I'm not going to give you sort of a nutritional template here, but I hope you understand. And the biggest takeaway here is you're not putting junk in there. The pizza, the chicken wings, the alcohol, the sugars. Can you still have these things? Of course you can, but your tolerance level for them generally is going to go down. As you eat better and feel better, you're going to want to put less and less shit in your body. Again, you can still have days where you enjoy those things you like. It's not what I say in every video, guys. Never think binary. Life is not ones and zeros. Life is great, and there's much nuance. But when I say standards, another thing is when you start holding yourself to these higher standards, you can hold other people to that. People give you sort of weak BS excuses and, just weak people, weak routines, and weak bullshit. You'll sort of start to filter this stuff, guys, out. You will have no time for it, and you will have less tolerance for it. And then sort of chaotic environments we've talked about. When you're focused on being your best self physically, we're starting there. It's going to help you. But just the chaos of life. You're not going to let that chaos into your life. You have structure. You now have routine. And this is part of it. And you just don't let that BS in. Again, that could be social media noise. It could be people. Whatever it is, you just have less time for it. And, less room for it in your brain. So when it's at a point here, you don't decide to raise your standards, your body starts to demand it. I don't know if I want to call it addiction, but one of the first things that's starting out is hard for a lot of people is if you hadn't gone to the gym or had a fitness routine, the first few days suck, and they do. You're sore, you don't want to go. A lot of people go gung-ho and overdo it at first, but then there becomes this tipping point where when you don't go, you start to get antsy. It's almost like, a caged dog or a horse that's been stabled. It needs to get out and run. You need to go to the gym. It is part of your routine. You could be on a cross-country flight, jet lag, whatever it is. You still fit it in because it's part of who you are now. You hold yourself to that standard. All right, guys, reason number 5 here. This is critical. It creates momentum that spills into every other aspect of your life. So, when you are dialed in on your fitness, your work ethic. Now, that could have come before, but chances are if you weren't very fit, you may say you worked hard, but did you really? So your work ethic, you just simply you will have more energy. Promise you that. You will work harder at things. You will see the discipline from the gym and pushing through when you don't want to. Maybe you stayed up and, wrote those 2 more pages. You created that, YouTube video. You worked on that work project until it got done. That comes from the gym. When you finish out those reps, when you go through the routine when you didn't quite feel like it, that leads right into the next one, guys. Discipline. There's a discipline to the gym. So when you go there with a structured routine, whether you're sad, happy, glad, depressed, bored, anxious. Guys, I found this is a little sidebar here. In our world, we're so easy to prescribe, the minute you're bored, sad, depressed, we have something for that, generally in a pill or a prescription form. What if you just started anytime you felt those things? You either went to the gym, got on the floor, knocked out some push-ups, whatever it is. I've never regretted going to the gym. Even on the days I was tired, just didn't feel like it. Trust me, guys, I have them. There are days, plenty, that you don't do it. But I've never once felt worse for doing it. There's, there is chemical reaction, but just the simple act of saying, I didn't give in to the weakness. All right, guys. So, this one might excite a lot of you guys, sexual energy. The fact is, guys, and the science is there, I'm not going to provide stats and a litany of things. But as you lose weight, gain muscle, lift heavier things, eat better, you're going to have better sexual energy. Let's call it that, sort of all-encompassing. Yes, your T levels will go up as you lose weight and you lift more weights and eat better. The amounts vary, but they will go up. And ideally, the estrogen goes down. Guys, you will just, you'll have more of a presence to you. And that's going to translate right into the next one, sort of social confidence. Guys, when you're sort of, your T levels are up, your endorphins are on high, you're feeling good about yourself, you exude this sort of social confidence. And guys, the fact of the matter is, the fairer sex is going to obviously notice you more as you get in better shape. Again, we can talk about, like me for who I am. I just want to be me. And guys, there's an argument to be made for that. But the fact of the matter is, as I said in the beginning of the video, people, men, women, children, dogs, cats, they'll judge you by your immediate first impression. And if you want them to get to know the real you, they got to get past. They got to accept this first level. And that first level is how you look and how you present yourself. So it isn't critical that it shows a level of sort of pride, discipline, and that you care about how you present yourself to the world. And again, your behavior is just going to sort of change naturally, the way you view the world. So a lot of guys in this I am very much an intellectual. I'm sort of a passive nerd. Maybe I'm a complete nerd. But guys will maybe try and fix that intellectually. I think my belief is fitness fixes sort of biological first. And when you have more confidence, you can focus on some of these other areas. In the beginning of the video, I talked about this where, I've been in these things, and especially with the younger guys. They're like, oh, they want chicks. I want to get with girls. How do I get girls? Like, it's the first thing all these guys focus on. And I get it. I was young once. I get why. And again, a lot of these guys are stark. But I've found, and I think there's no lack of evidence on this, if you fix the first things, your fitness, and then your finances, that third, the ladies, the relationships, the sex, that's going to come. Fix the first two, and you won't have to chase the third. We can talk about that in a deeper video, guys, much deeper, because there is a larger conversation to have there. Not just for the young guys, the sort of older guys that my age, in their 40s and 50s that are watching the videos. All right, guys. So if you're still here, as usual, guys, appreciate you making it this far. As always, drop your comments below. Let me know where you are. Let me know if you agree with me. If you think, this is a completely off-base take, that fitness doesn't mean a fucking thing. That, becoming a person of character and, some of those things, intellectual, or that's more important. Let me know. Let me know where you stand, guys. I'm not saying those things don't matter. I think you need to be well-rounded. I think you need to be sort of a cosmopolitan man. But I think a lot of this starts with fitness. And then on to that point, guys, after the comments, as always, do me a solid. If you find this material, helpful, pass it on. If it's, if you like this type of video or you want more content like this, do me a favor, like and subscribe. And that way it helps me, grow the channel, get this out to more guys who truly need this information. Guys, let me say here, so this isn't about vanity. It's not so you could, get the six-pack abs and, post that on your IG feed. That's cool. If you want to do that, that's great. But it's not about you. If you're going to solely impress others, you're going about it the wrong way. That's going to be a byproduct. As you sort of become the peak version of yourself, people are going to notice. So let that as it may, but you first and foremost should be doing this for yourself, to get healthy, to feel about yourself, good about yourself, to build some confidence. And then it's about reclaiming authority over sort of your physiology. Have you let yourself go? And guys, you know if you have or haven't, I'm speaking to a predominantly male audience. You don't need a doctor, you don't need a clinician, you don't really need anything other than your own mirror to tell you if you've let yourself slide. And you know you have. And that's what getting fit's all about. It's reclaiming your physiology, it's reclaiming yourself. And when you can control your body in a world where it's so fucking easy to go the comfortable route, to lay on the couch, to order Uber Eats, to shovel dog shit in your mouth, to not do a fucking thing. When you can control your body and do it consistently, you can control damn near anything in your life. You can handle a lot of stress and a lot of pressure. You can maintain a solid body, look good, and do that consistently. You can do a hell of a lot more than you ever think you can do. All right, guys, so as we get toward the end here, so I want to sort of wrap this up, and let me see where we are here on my notes. As I started off the video, I think anytime a sort of level up conversation or I want to become better either skips fitness or puts it sort of way down the line, I think it's probably backward and quite often bullshit. I think one of the first things a guy needs to do, because it's also sort of, it's hard work to get that body, it's an easy thing to understand. It's not a sort of difficult or abstract concept. Go to the gym, go outside and run, clean up your diet, and work on that and get that dialed in. Now, guys, here's one that I see with the young guys, and I gotta step back here quickly. Fitness is not the be all end all, and this is the problem I see with so many of these young guys, what you would label the gym bros. They focus so hard on the gym, they forget everything else, and they stop at the gym, and they just want to get jacked, and they get lean, and that's all well and good. A lot of them stay broke, and a lot of them stay socially stunted. I could use another word starting with an R, but again, I don't know what the YouTube algorithm's going to flag me for. Don't be a one-trick pony. You have to be multifaceted. You have to work on them all. So fitness being the first, but follow up or at, sort of the same time, work on your finances, your income ability, and also your social acumen, whether it's with other men, go to groups, or, in dating and relationships, whether that be a committed relationship or you're just looking to sort of meet, more ladies, whatever that is. But don't be a one-trick pony. Don't be a fucking gym bro dope. Don't get stuck there, guys. So many guys get stuck there. All right. Money, mindset, dating, and purpose. All this becomes so much easier when your fitness is aligned. Even something, guys, getting in the room. I was in sales for 20 plus years. I promise you that when I walked into rooms, how I presented myself, not only how I dressed, but my fitness, it was easier. Dating is easier. Everything becomes easier, guys, when you are fit. Is that fair? Is it right? I'm not going to argue that. I'm just going to tell you the fact. It is. All right, guys, here's something. You don't need a perfect plan. He said, perfect is the enemy of good. Very true statement. Guys, get out there and do something. You don't need, if you don't have a lot of funds, young guys, old guys, whatever, you don't need have a lot of funds. Go back to sort of like, I don't know, think of like a military. You need a $100 a month gym membership, $200 a month gym membership. You don't have to go buy a home gym. Do push-ups, do sit-ups, do dips, do pull-ups. You don't need any equipment for any of that. Maybe a pull-up bar, a couple bucks. Go outside and run. Do those things, guys. It'll work. The fact, I guess what I'm getting at here is do something. And again, as you level up and you maybe want to sort of tweak this and enhance that, okay, there are plenty of YouTube videos, plenty of apps, plenty of things where you can sort of tweak and get better at it. Myself, I've worked with a trainer for a year now, and I continue to do so because I sort of plateaued and I want to know, can I push myself a little further? But the thing is, guys, I told it before, you don't need motivation. You need action and movement. Remember, don't ever get those, that doesn't go the other way. Movement and action create the motivation and the momentum, never the other way around. All right, so guys, we live far too comfortable lives. I've talked about that in other videos, and I'm going to hit more on it in upcoming videos. Our lives are so sedentary, so comfortable, so fucking easy. You need to start doing hard shit and doing it consistently. And if that means going to the gym, going for a run, whatever it is, you need to put some physical strain and discomfort back in your life. Stop being so comfortable. Comfort is a liar. That's coming up in my new book. That's the first chapter. Comfort is a liar. Look for that soon. But as I wrap it up here, guys, I'll leave you with this. Get your body right first. Everything else listens after that. Appreciate you guys. See you in the next one.